Welcome to the House of Hoosier podcast. I'm your host, former Hoosier, AJ Guyton. Got a very, very special guest, a very unique guest, a guest who has the unique perspective of actually playing for Coach Knight, playing before Coach Knight got there, playing for Coach Knight, and being assistant coach with Coach Knight. We got Joby Wright in the building. How you doing, my man?
Oh, AJ, it's great to be here with you. I've been looking forward to connecting with you. Glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
So excited to have you, man. You look healthy, looking good during these turbulent times, man. You taking care of yourself, making sure you're getting everything done to be all right?
Well, yeah, I can't help but do that, you know. Right. I just had a knee replacement, so I'm in therapy with that. But other than that, everything's good.
You know what? I see, my old coaches, my stepfather, all the former players, man, with the knee replacement, the hip. I am not looking forward to that because I know it's coming. I know my stepdad got his shoulder done a couple weeks ago. He was an old football player and basketball player, and then he had a hip. His knee, I said, man, I am not looking forward to that. But you look great, man. I'm excited about talking to you, man. And as usual, we like to start from the beginning, man. So kind of talk to us about where you're originally from and during that time, what it was like growing up where you're originally from.
Okay. I'm originally from Savannah, Georgia. Okay. And it was a very interesting time. But I was very fortunate in regards to integration happened in terms of high school athletics during my sophomore year, of high school.
Right.
And that was a long time ago. But the thing that was so unique about my high school experience was that even though, I was born and raised in Savannah, I had the opportunity from being a teenager all the way through graduating from high school to go and spend the summers in New York City, half the summer, and Washington, D.C. half the summer. And that's where I picked up my basketball game. Yeah, my father was a local community football coach.
Okay.
So at a young age, I was a football player. And the thing about being a football player at a young age, since my daddy was the coach, he made me play against the older guys.
Oh.
And they used to eat me alive.
Right.
So by the time I got to be a sophomore in high school, I started eating them alive.
Yeah, you started eating them alive, yeah.
And then the thing that was really, really powerful during those years was just seeing, having that opportunity to play basketball, integrated sports.
Right.
And that gave me the opportunity to be observed. And by the time I graduated from high school, I was a parade All-American. When I read about, it's kind of funny, when I read about people writing my bio,
right?
I read somebody said I was from Mississippi. I was from that place, but no, I'm from Savannah. And the opportunity to go to Indiana was really very unique and really changed my life, obviously.
Right. In high school, when you talk about your high school career, like who do you credit with helping you, who or what did you credit for helping you develop your game to the point where you became a parade All-American and you were able to get offers from all the big schools?
My high school coach. I had a high school coach who was really, really special. And I went to a segregated high school, obviously.
Okay.
But my coach was unusual in terms of his background. He had a master's from NYU. And every day before, when I got to school, in high school, he would sit me down in his office and he would talk to me about his life experiences. And he was planting those seeds. He was planting those seeds to really help me understand what the world was all about.
Right.
And he really modeled not only the behavior of a great coach, but he was just a really solid human being, and he really made it not just him, but in that environment growing up, or I had teachers that if you didn't come to class and have your homework or be ready to go, man, they would go upside your head. Say, hey man, you better stop tripping.
Right. Yeah.
In my case, because I was sort of designated as a guy that was going to have an opportunity to get a scholarship and leave the South, if you will. Mm-hmm. It made sure that, hey, you better come in here ready to go.
Right.
But as a young guy, my high school coach was the guy that really planted the seeds. And the other thing, me mentioning the football part, I had, I was probably considered one of the guys to integrate sports in the South.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was the first Black to be offered a scholarship to play at Auburn. I was the first Black to play at Kentucky. So I visited those schools, and that was something. That was really something, And so at that time, I also had an opportunity to connect with some guys that went on and did some great things who were from the South, like a guy, like I mentioned, Howard Porter. Howard Porter was a guy from Florida. Another guy, Cyril Baptiste, another guy from Florida. And those were the guys that opened the door for Chocolate Thunder.
Right. Right there.
All of that. Yeah.
Wow, man. Just hearing you talk about segregation and integration, man, it just makes me wonder, like, how, when you look at how things are today, like what was that like to be segregated? Because we don't know. We weren't, but what was that like back then?
I'm glad you asked that. What I saw was how what they were afraid, I guess, the powers that be at that time, when they integrated sports in my hometown, Savannah. They integrated every sport but football.
Okay.
And I'm smiling because we had the best, matter of fact, we had the best football and basketball programs in the whole state of Georgia.
Right.
We were feared in terms of high school sports. We didn't lose a game, but we didn't get an opportunity to play because we had a guy on the team who didn't play, had a couple of birth certificates that said, nope, you guys can't do it. No.
Right.
But what I saw was the impact that integrating sports had on my hometown. And I saw the power of sports, So instead of allowing us to play home games at our high school gyms, the powers that be, we had to play our games at the local armory, the National Guard Armory, which was fenced and had well protected. And I think that the powers that be thought that, okay, if something broke out, we could control this.
Right.
But what ended up happening, people just fell in love with the play, with the competition and
nothing like they've ever seen before.
Yeah. And then we had a very extraordinary thing happen my senior year. My junior year, our crosstown rivals won the first state championship by a Black team, Alfred E. Beach.
Okay.
And then my senior year, we played them for the state championship of Georgia. And we won. But what was so special about that game was that we won that championship on a Saturday, And that Sunday morning, we had to get up and go to church. Well, nobody had no church clothes.
Right, yeah.
But and the championship was being played in Atlanta. So we just, okay, so we went to church, and the church turned out to be Ebenezer Baptist Church. And so we met Martin Luther King.
Wow.
And so it was Martin Luther King and his whole family, even his father, the Reverend Martin Luther King.
What year was this around?
1968.
Okay, ain't right before he assassinated.
Yeah, matter of fact, it was 3 months before he got assassinated. Yeah, and that was pretty heavy. That was pretty heavy. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to going by and introducing myself to Senator Warnock. He's a graduate. He's from my high school, and I'm going to see if there's any way, because I know they probably keep pretty detailed church records, to see if I can get that pulled up. Yeah, and get that recognized for a lot of the guys that I played ball with, you know. Right. So anyhow, that made my high school experience just so unique. But then I could add another layer to that, during those times that I was learning to play the game in Washington, D.C. and New York over the summers. I was around maybe 14, 15, and my uncle, a relative, said, "You know what, man, you're eating up all our food. I'm going to take you around to the park so you can play some ball." Right. There's a new coach, that just took over at St. Anthony's High School. And there's a player down the street, Donald Washington, and these names I know you. And I see him over there at Turkey Thicket. That was a local park very near where my relatives lived. So my uncle said, "Come on, let's go." So he took me to the park. So I'm standing there, and there's this new coach that just got the job at St. Anthony's High School, and this player, Donald Washington. So he's playing. So the coach looked at me and said, "Hey, you, big boy, come here. I want you to play defense against this guy." So he made some moves. His first 10 shots, I blocked every shot, So he said, "Wait, what's your name?" Right. So that coach, that high school coach that had just got the job, that was John Thompson. Wow. Yeah, and so I became very, very close to him and his family. Right. And but way, way back then, and ironically too, I was married for 33 years to a woman who passed away, my mother of my children. And she was a former cheerleader at St. Anthony's High School, which was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then if I go back to high school, I probably had about 500 or over 500 offers, because I was not only a good basketball player, I also football. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I had offers to play basketball and football from the Big Ten, Notre Dame, or you name it. And that was it. But but no one recruited me more in high school, more than Dean Smith. Really? But I couldn't get into North Carolina because I didn't make 1,000 on it. And back then the ACC had a deal where if you didn't make 1,000 on a college SAT, you couldn't go to the ACC school. So, wow. So when I look back and you ask me about you being a young man, I could say I was blessed in the fact that I had the opportunity to be loved up. In that segregated high school, right? And not only did I develop that intense desire to be an athlete, but I also understood, the importance of that education. Right. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And so, but that and then I had an opportunity in high school to play against a guy who was the quote unquote the best player at that time in Georgia. And somehow or another, my high school coach, because like I said, he was just a phenomenal guy. He was able to arrange for us to play this team, and this was an all-white team.
Right.
And so we played this team, and I ended up like scoring 50 points, and scored a lot of points, a lot of rebounds, and then we were the team, And so that was so my high school experience really was pretty awesome. Irregardless of the time, I didn't see anybody get lynched, even though I know that was going on.
Right.
In my little neighborhood, we didn't have any madness, if you will, So, but I understood the power of sport. I saw the power of sport in regards to how it could impact people. How sport had such a powerful significance in terms of the socialization.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at Bet Rivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with Bet Rivers yet, now is the time, because they're offering a $250 match bonus for our first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one play to turn your money into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With football season kicking off, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the Bet Rivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Awesome, man. So you ended up deciding to go to Indiana, right? What was that recruitment like? Because this is pre-Bob Knight. So what went into that recruitment process for you? Obviously, wanting to go. It sounded like you wanted to go to North Carolina, but couldn't get in there. But then, how did that recruitment process work out with Indiana?
Well, it wasn't like I wanted to go to North Carolina. I didn't know where I wanted to go.
Oh, okay. All right. And that wouldn't have been bad, though.
Right. But at the time, there was no limit on how many schools you could visit. Okay. That came way down the way where you could only visit 5 schools. I think I ended up visiting about 19 schools. I mean, anybody sent me a ticket, I was going, where? Yeah, just a ticket, I'm gone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did that recruitment with Indiana begin, and what made you ultimately
right.
Indiana? Yep.
Right. Augusta, Georgia. You wouldn't know this, but you would know the name James Brown.
Yeah.
So Augusta, Georgia was real famous because that's where James Brown did his thing.
Yeah.
They had a high school there that was renowned for good players, good football, good basketball. So we were playing my senior year in the regional finals. I mean, they happened to be in Augusta. And it was just tall white guy with a flat top with these funny glasses. It was Don Luff.
Okay.
We were all like, who is that guy standing in the corner over there? I mean, he just stood out to Don Luff.
All right.
He's in the IU Hall of Fame.
Okay.
He was a great football player and basketball player back in the day. And he had this smile on his face. And then after the game, meeting him and talking with him, I was really impressed with him. I mean, he just it was something about him that made me. I said, okay, Indiana.
Right.
When I told my friends, I said, that guy we saw standing up there with the flat top and the funny looking glasses from Indiana. And so my teammates said, Indiana? He said, aren't there Indians in Indiana? I said, no, I don't think it's no Indians in Indiana.
Right.
So Don Luff was the main recruiter for Coach Lou Watson. Lou Watson was the head coach at that time. And And then the other caveat was the fact that there was a young lady from my hometown who came from a very prominent family, and her family, the doctor, he was probably considered, one of the best doctors in Savannah, and Afro-American doctors in Savannah, and wow, you're going to make me go into another story.
Oh yeah, I know you got plenty of them.
there was about 4 or 5 prominent Black families in Savannah,
right?
And at the time, you couldn't go to Tybee. That was the beach in Savannah. So these prominent families had beach fronts in Hilton Head, and so this beautiful Hilton Head that everybody, that used to be the only place that Black people from Savannah could go to the beach, and it was nothing like obviously what it is today. Right. And so anyhow, so this young lady came from and she went to IU. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to visit IU on my visit, one of my 19 visits, I noticed that the buildings were made out of the same material of in Washington, D.C. I didn't know that. Right. Okay, Indiana limestone. When you go to Washington and you see all you go see the sites. Yeah. You'll see the Washington Memorial and the Smithsonian and all. That's Indiana limestone. Right. Yeah. Hey, that looks like D.C. And so, but it was just something about the feeling I had, the way I got treated, and it was something special. It wasn't about the girl that we didn't have, right. But it was just something about the feeling of the campus. The campus was so pretty. Yep. And if comparing the campus to a lot of the places that I had visited, I mean, Indiana just stuck out, and I said, yeah. And after I met all the coaches, I said, this is where I want to go to school. Mm-hmm. And best decision I ever made in my life. Right. How did your family feel about you wanting to go to school so far away? Because I'm sure they were like, Georgia, we got Auburn down here, we got whatever school you want down here. We want to be able to watch you play, support you. How did your family feel about it? Well, since I had already been used to early teenager, being traveling, they were like, they had mixed feelings about it, but all they wanted me to do was just be successful and get an education. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So you get to Indiana, man, and your first couple years, you pretty much have a seamless transition. Why was it so? I don't say easy, but why was it an easy transition for you to kind of have some dominance in the Big Ten and at Indiana at that time in college basketball? Well, I love to play. I had the desire that I wanted to play in the NBA. And it was coming to Indiana. Really, really, the thing about I was involved, but I remember having the opportunity to see McGinnis and Downing in high school. I saw them play in high school. Mm-hmm. And I had never seen anything like George McGinnis. Right. Mm-hmm. I had never seen a guy, when I played, a guy who was 6'8". You didn't see 6'8" guys dribbling the ball. Right. Mm-hmm. Guys could jump, block shots, guys could dunk the ball, guys could rebound, but you didn't see guys that could do the things I saw that cat do. Right. Mm-hmm. But after getting to Indiana and the guys who were there, but then the thing that was really, really cool was how the community supported the program. Mm-hmm. And there were some people, man, that were just beautiful, just absolutely. When I say that I treasure, my experience at Indiana, it's just not just even the basketball. It was just the whole piece, man, the whole thing, And I had people who I had two families who treated me like their son, And we had guys on that team that my before Coach Knight got to IU, we had some guys that could really get after it, man. We were picked my junior year. It was thought that we had enough talent to win a national championship. I mentioned the fact that I had that I was a parade All-American, but we had 3 or 4 other guys that were
right, exactly.
Ed Daniels, George Downing. We had a guy that was Bubbles Harris, who just passed away recently. Bubbles was a first team junior college All-American. I mean, so we had talent out the wazoo, But we didn't. At that time, only 32 teams could make it to the tournament. It was all different. So we didn't get an opportunity to go far. But IU back in the days, man, it was it was quite an experience.
Definitely. So your senior year, you're balling out your sophomore, junior year. Your senior year, they make a change in the coach, and Bob Knight walks in the building and walks in the gym. So talk to us about how his presence changed your game, and what did you initially think about his motion offense system when he came in, or was he running that, or did he run anything?
We didn't run motion. We didn't run motion when Coach his very first year. The funny thing about that, after my sophomore year and after George McGinnis's freshman year, we both were selected for. There were 2 national teams. I made one, and George made the other one. And obviously there was a tryout situation. To get it to the team. And so our tryout was at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. And so we there, and one night I remember guys cutting up,
that's what we did at them trials, boy.
And so the next day we had some MPs come see us from the from the Air Force Academy. So they had us all about, they suspected it was about 20 of us, so they had us sit down there and they said, "Hey, you better not clown around here, you guys." And then they left. And Coach John Bach used to be the head coach at the University of Pennsylvania, but he was a legend. He took that to another level because he was an assistant with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, that's why I know that.
When they won those first 3 Mike. So after the MPs left, Coach Bach started talking. And the thing about Coach Bach, we had this, he was a great communicator. He had that gift of gab. So when he talked, you listened. So he was telling, "Hey, you know what, you guys, you think you so tough, you out there clowning around, you should be focused on making this team." He said, there was a guy that was supposed to come, a coach that was supposed to come here, and he didn't come, and you guys are lucky he didn't come. He did, boy, oh boy. And so he started talking about, he said, coach from West Point, his name is Bobby Knight. And he started telling Coach Knight's story. Oh, yeah, he did this and he did that. And we're sitting there like, yeah, right. Okay. So now comes my junior year, and we expected to have this great team, and we don't. And so, Coach Watson got let go. And so President Ryan was the president at that time, and Mr. Bill Alwig and Mr. Bob Droe were the Bill Orwick was the athletic director, and Bob Dro was assistant athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Dro played on a national championship team like in 43 or something like that, 50, one of those years. So anyhow, President Ryan, I got designated as the guy to communicate with the team during the process of finding a coach. Mm-hmm. I was getting phone calls from all kind of people trying to. The legendary coach Johnny McClendon, you know, if you read your history books, he was the first to do a lot of things.
Right.
He wanted the coaches out there. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, President Ryan called me out one day. Joby, come see me. So I see his president. Hey, we got a coach. I said, okay. And his name is Coach Bobby Knight. I heard of him.
I know you was like.
I heard him. So a little bit later on, Mr. Orwick, the AD, called me to his office. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Assembly Hall wasn't completely built. Mm-hmm. And there was I'll never forget this obviously is a very special memory. There was a little shed like that was in place between the field house and Assembly Hall. And this was the temporary base setup for the athletic department.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Okay. This little temporary.
I can see it too. I can see it. Yeah.
So I'm there in Mr. Orwick's office, and he did it on purpose. And so I'm sitting there talking with him, and then Mr. Dro comes in, and we're talking, and so we talked, well, maybe I can't remember exactly how long, but it's after talking for a few minutes, there was a big window that I couldn't help but see because it was right behind Mr. And so this green Tornado, it pulls up. You know what that Tornado is? Old Oldsmobile, 66 Tornado, green Tornado pulls up. So I get up and he say, Joby, that's your new coach that just pulled up there. And it was Coach Knight, and he gets out the car, and the first guy he met was me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
And so I'll never forget that, because when I went to meet Coach that first time, man, I had a fro. You talking about a fro? I think my fro, I was 7 foot plus, you know. Mm-hmm. So I picked out my fro, and I had my blue jean outfit on. You know, this guy's supposed to be a tough guy, so I'm, you know, I don't know what to expect, but you know, I got to talk to him, you know. So that first conversation, you know, Coach had me sit down, and he reads me the riot act. He said, "Are you going to go to class? You're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you're going to get a haircut too on top of that." You know, I'm like,
really?
Mm-hmm. I said, mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then I asked Coach a question. and he fell out. He fell out laughing. And I said, I can't share the story right now, right? But you know, but I'll tell you the story when I see you face to face.
Okay.
And then I had made up my mind. I said, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna come back to school, if I'm gonna go, you know. So there was the opportunity to go to the ABA, you know. Right. Mm-hmm. And if I would have gone to the ABA instead of coming back for my senior year, I would have been a top 10 pick and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. So that summer, in between my junior and senior year, when Coach had that conversation, I was living in New York. I was staying in New York with some guys that I played with growing up. Yeah. Austin Carr, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember Austin Carr, Notre Dame. Yep.
Yeah, Phil Chenier, Austin, Sid Cattler, Aubrey Nash, Carlos Jones. Mm-hmm. And the thing that was so interesting, Austin, Sid, and Carlos all went to Notre Dame.
Yeah, yep.
I went to Indiana, so we all went in Indiana. You know, so,
that's crazy.
So we were cool because we grew up kind of together.
Right.
So I'm hanging out with those guys in Manhattan, New York, downtown. And so I get a call from downstairs. So, yeah, Joby? Yeah, it's me, Coach Knight. Coach Knight?
Right.
What are you doing there, Coach? Well, the last summer, between coming to IU from West Point, he was doing his camp.
Oh, okay.
So he took me to lunch, and he had a guy, Mickey Cochran, with him. And Mickey Cochran was Coach Bill Parcells' high school coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the tuna, the big tuna.
Yep.
So Coach took me to lunch, and well, we must have talked. Well, we spent some time talking and really getting to know each other. And I said, Coach, I'm gonna take my name off of that list for the ABA. I'm coming back to school. I'm gonna play for you, Coach. And I did.
Awesome.
And so, and what ended up happening, the NCAA said that I didn't send my letter with my withdrawal letter from the ABA draft on time. So they were trying to take my senior year away.
Yeah, trying to take it away.
Yeah, trying to make me ineligible. You know,
Wow.
So the first 2 weeks of my senior season, I couldn't even practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I would just hang out with Coach. And so we really, you know.
Yeah, developed a relationship.
Yeah. And so so playing for Coach, I mean, that first year was truly amazing from the standpoint that every single day we would sit down and just talk. I mean, and it would be, you know, real talk. You know? And so the opportunity to play for him on that first team was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing.
Man. That explains how you kind of develop a personal relationship with Coach. So what did his style, what style was Coach playing at that time? What style was a young Bob Knight teaching at Indiana University did he come in with during your senior year that you excelled at? Because you averaged almost 20 points a game. And, you know, you played well. You had an outstanding season. So, but what style did he come in? Because we know him through motion. That's what he's known for. But he was obviously doing something different when he got to Indiana.
Well, he was teaching us how to play. I mean, we instantly knew that this man was a teacher. He was exceptional, you know, because I had never, ever had anybody teach me like that, you know, with that kind of detail, you know, in terms of how he communicated the game, you know, how he taught the game, you know, and even though we didn't run motion, my game at the time was running and jump. I always could play twice my size. You know what I mean? You know, on a good day, I'm 6'7", you know, but I could play. You know, I could catch the top of the backboard. The Downing could almost, but you know, we used to have some lockdown battles playing. You know,
I bet.
Yeah. You know, so what the kind of offense we ran was basically how to get the ball down to Steve on the block, and then me flashing up towards the elbow, the yard, or you know, for the 17-foot jump shot, 50-foot jump shot. So we, you know, it was the defensive side where, you know, like, you know, that was something we had never experienced. The way he broke down the defense, you know, how, you know, rotating to the ball, dropping to the level of the ball, how you guard the ball, and you know how, that was probably that was really the big focus. And then at the time we had some coaches, his assistants, who all went on and did establish themselves as pretty good coaches, after they left IU. And every day, man, I used to put up about 1,000 jump shots. I had to learn how to shoot that jump shot, and so that was the deal, how to get the ball to Downing inside, and then me crashing the boards, and then me getting that shot, that 15, 17-foot jump shot. And then he went to the motion is that next year, and that they ended up in the national championship game where Downing almost we had that controversial foul on him with Bill Walton. Bill Walton ended up, they called a foul on Downing instead of Walton, and they called a foul on Walton. Coach Knight would have won the championship his second year.
Wow. Amazing stories, man. It's so much to talk about, but you decided to leave the professional career and come back to Indiana, get a master's degree, and then you ended up on Coach Knight's staff. Walk us through how that happened. How did you end up becoming an assistant coach at IU? Because I know he had something to do with it.
Yeah, right. After they won the championship in '76, I remember coming back to Bloomington and walking in the gym, and this is when Coach Donald was assistant, and Coach offered me a graduate assistantship, and this was right after I played in France. See, and that's another thing. Yep. When I read about no one knows that I played basketball in Europe. I was all France, and right. I led France to the European Cup. Right. I was the leading scorer of the European Cup. I was the first American to play on the Canary Islands. Right. But anyhow, so Coach, as soon as I walked into it, he said, "Hey, Joby, come here." He said, "Listen, you know what? You need to leave that ball alone. You ain't, come on. I said, okay, Coach. Yeah, all right, Coach." And as soon as I left Bloomington, I got the opportunity to go to Los Angeles. They had a really good summer league in Los Angeles. I think it was the Adidas Summer League, and I did really, really well. Yep. And I had the hope, my desire was to try to get back to Italy or France. But Coach got ticked off at me because he had offered me the job, but I left. Right, yeah. I ended up taking a job in Finland. And went to Finland and got injured. Tore up, and that was it. So I wrote Coach a letter. I said, "Coach," after he had offered me, and I left. I said, "Coach, I got hurt, and I want to come back and I'll be your graduate assistant." And so when his response was, "Yeah, Joby, come on back, and you can rehab," and but it didn't mention anything about being an assistant. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I come back to Bloomington, we'll go to see Coach. Oh my goodness, he lit into me. I mean, he said, "You know what? I offered you a job, and he said, what? You get out of here." I'm like, "Oh," I said, "Yeah." So anyhow, I said, "Well, okay." I was about 26 hours from getting my undergraduate degree. So I'm gonna show this dude. So, man, I bed down, got my degree, undergraduate degree. Undergrad. So I went back to Coach. I said, "Coach, I got my degree." He had already knew it, and he stood up and clapped. He said, "That's like the bad news bears beating the Yankees. You got a college degree." Right. So at that time he still didn't offer me that job. What about that job though? He said, "You can work in my summer camp." That's okay. And so I started graduate school, and I started graduate school in the area of recreational sports programming. And I got a call one day. I mean, I was watching the team from afar. I was a grad assistant working in that area of recreational sports programming, and then also I was an RA in the dormitory that was right across the street from the Hyper building. And so I was watching the team from afar, like I said, and saw, that's when I first saw this Mike Woodson.
Right.
and he was really, I said, he got the skull, and then he got hurt. And then he got
This was prior to him being at Indiana?
No. This is when after I came back to Indiana.
Okay.
And I got my undergraduate degree. Now I'm in graduate school. But I'm not working with the team directly, but I'm working with the IU with Coach Knight's summer camp.
Oh, okay. And was Mike on the team at that time?
Mike was on the team.
Okay,
gotcha. Mike and Butch Carter.
Yeah, the squad.
That was their squad. Okay, all right. So I saw Mike go down and then get this operation and come back and lead Indiana to the Big Ten and most valuable player. I'm like, oh my goodness. So, but anyhow, so I was watching the team from afar. So I get a call at the beginning of the 80-81. And so Coach Knight said, hey, Joby, I got a call from Jimmy Cruz. Jimmy Cruz, Jimmy starred, was one of the players on the 76 team, 75 team, and also, you know who Jimmy is. He coached.
Yeah, just text me while we was on this call.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay. So Jimmy called me. Hey, Coach, want to see you, Joe. We got a little situation over here. We think you can help us out on. I said, okay. All right. I said, what is it?
Right, yeah.
There was a couple of guys that, Coach really needs you to talk to. I said, all right. I said, well, who are those guys? He said, well, Isaiah Thomas and Landon Turner. Isaiah, Landon. And Isaiah, your best player? What's going on? So I had an opportunity to sit down with Isaiah and Landon, figure out what was going on with them. Me and you talk about that.
Yep.
And so got that straightened out, and we ended up winning a national championship. I said, you know what, from now on, this is what you're going to be doing here.
Right. Right.
All right, Coach. All right. I can't help but, when I mention Isaiah's name, to think about that 81 championship team. And that's the thing that, wow, those guys, I mean, when Isaiah used to walk the streets, I mean, people would stop their cars and run up to him to ask him for autographs. Little Zeke was, when Isaiah played there in Wilmington, and just to watch how all of that went down, to have the opportunity, to see like Randy Whitman and Ted Kitchell, those are a blast from the past, but those guys were pretty extraordinary in terms of that team. That team was a great team, and I think I shared this with you, and I've shared this with a lot of people. If Ted Kitchell didn't have back issues, he would have been a renowned basketball player. They think obviously Larry Bird was. Ted Kitchell was that type of. He was that good. I think to me, I tell you, in my opinion, Ted Kitchell. You talking about extraordinary shooter? I mean, we had guys, Kitchell and Whitman. Them cats, woo. They can fill it up. They can fill it up. But to have the opportunity to not only play for coach, but to be an assistant. Now it was challenging. I mean, make the transition, because as a player, all you're concerned about is not totally, but your main concern is having yourself ready to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowing, what you got to do, what you got to do in terms of from an offensive standpoint and then from a defensive standpoint. My mentality was simple. That's we go out here and I'm going to be a monster.
Right.
But the transition into becoming a coach, there was some great guys on staff. I mentioned Jimmy Cruz. Jimmy Cruz and I had an opportunity to, Jimmy really taught me about being a coach. He really helped me because we had a player, Uwe Block.
I knew that. Uwe.
Uwe was something, man. And the first year, we didn't know it at the time, but Uwe couldn't catch the ball. I mean, you throw Uwe the ball, man, he couldn't catch the ball. We found out eventually he couldn't see.
Right.
but Jimmy and I, the first year that Uwe was at IU, Jimmy and I, over the first Christmas that Uwe played, we drove from Bloomington to Effingham every day for a week to work Uwe out. But at the same time, that gave us an opportunity to talk ball, to talk basketball.
Right.
Responsibilities of an assistant coach, and that relationship or that opportunity to develop that relationship with Jimmy Cruz turned out to be the foundation of me being able to become an assistant for Coach Knight.
Oh, okay.
Because Jimmy, say, Joby, here are the ropes. Here are the things you need to know. Here are the things that you're going to be responsible for. Here are the things that, here are Coach Knight expectations, And, the style of operations, the management style, let me use that. The management style was okay. We had one objective, to be the best program in the nation.
Yeah.
And that sounds really simple, really easy to say, but that's very hard to do.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
And but that's what allowed me to make that transition. It wasn't seamless, but I had guys around me who helped me grow into that, and just like there is a chemistry with the players, there has to be a chemistry, with the coaches.
Right.
And especially, at Indiana.
Yeah, definitely.
With Coach Knight leadership style, so the assistants, we had to be tight.
Right.
And we were. And those guys were really good at, helping me, as I said, develop. But then having the opportunity to work in his camp before I became an assistant, I was able to, then that helped in that transition from a player, from developing the mindset of a coach, so going from a mindset of a player to a mindset of a coach.
Right. What was Coach Knight's leadership style as a young coach? What was his leadership style when it pertains to the coaching staff? What did you have to adjust to the most?
Oh, it was his teaching. Coach, that's what's lost on, so many people today. They don't understand the level of teaching, the level of knowledge.
Yes.
I mean, Coach Knight changed the game. I mean, he changed the game in the Big Ten. He changed the game in Indiana. We used to have coaches come. The one thing that eventually it'll come out, but I never hear people talk about it, is the impact that Coach Knight had on international basketball.
Right.
And I say that because, during those 10 years I was down there, we had coaches come in from all over the world. And it was coaches, the national team coach of Italy, the national team coach of Spain, the national, from all over the world. They would come and spend, sometimes a guy would stay a week, sometimes a guy would stay a month and impart that knowledge. And so, where they made that big jump was, when they started, building academies. But in terms of the basic knowledge and foundation, a lot of those coaches built their philosophies off of, Coach Wright had a lot of influence on that. And that's why you see in that European, how they spread the foam. Yeah. I mean, and the very first, we had a coaching academy. The last two or 3 years I was at was coach, and we would have almost 1,000 coaches come, and half of them would be from outside the United States.
Right.
Come to those coaching clinics.
Right. Awesome, man.
Thanks for listening. That was part 1 of our conversation between AJ Guyton and Hoosier great Joby Wright. Stay tuned, because next week we'll have part 2. Plenty more to talk about, plenty more stories to tell with Joby Wright. So make sure you stay tuned. Next week we'll put out part 2 here on the House of Hoosier podcast.